Today's Bitcoin analysis is going to cover three main ideas. The first is how to look at Bitcoin with a midterm time frame perspective to get us through not quite the new year, but into December, all through November, and how to think about probability checkpoints specific to which origin line is going to be hit next. And if you don't know what origin lines are, or you're skeptical that they work, watch my last video, go to the tag where it says origin line. It's pretty damn compelling, got a lot of good feedback on that. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the same chart, the same place with the same time frames, but we're going to put a different magnification with the microscope. We're going to look at it as a breakout 145-day triangle, essentially. And when does the breakout begin to break down? The third thing that we're going to cover is Dixie, or the dollar index movement, how that can affect Bitcoin and what you should be watching out for, in addition to an indicator that you might want to mix with Dixie that can help you get the price right with crypto and Bitcoin through November into December. Are you ready? Let's go get it. Midterm time frame thinking, here we go. Mixed with probability checkpoints for continuation to the upside. In general terms, the big question is, which origin line will be hit next? And again, if you don't appreciate why I'm framing it that way, literally watch my last video where it is tagged origin lines and watch the candle stance. So that's what I'm thinking. Which one is going to be hit next, and when do I know? That's it. Hopefully that breaking it down to that simple thought process is, I don't know if you see it as valuable, but you should. Because what you're going to find is, if you think about it that way, you have your line in the sand, where every little bit farther away in this direction that you get, this is your 50-50 zone. Will this line be hit, or will this line be hit next? And right now it's in the middle, so it's a big question mark. I don't friggin' know, and I actually don't, because part of my preface to this was which one will hit first, and when or how will I know? That's the main thing we're doing here. And so every little bit it gets above, it's a little bit better than 50%, and vice versa. A little bit farther below is better and better chance that this has. This is your middle zone. So it's like halfway, the 50-yard line, or what, I don't know, the middle of the soccer pitch field, whatever you call it. This is where the bulls and the bears are likely going to be, battling. And prices there now. We'll zoom into this a little bit later. And if you want, I actually suggest that, let's go to the 1 hour chart. I suggest you put these exact lines on your chart. They're going to be extremely important. I've covered what these are in my last videos. I don't want to go into all that. It has to do with weekly, monthly, and all that kind of stuff. All right. And if I had to argue with myself on this, like, you know what? For example, hey, making the basic observation, Bitcoin could come all the way down. Oh, this is the daily chart. It could come all the way down here, scoop out these lows, but close the daily here, like tomorrow or the next day on a red candle, and it's still in a daily uptrend. So let's mark that bitch off. Boom. Right? So that would mean that if in one moment on smaller time frames, price goes below here, it's going to look like this is way more probable, especially if price comes this far down, right? So that's when the daily closures, you're going to during the daytime before 8 p.m. New York is when these close, just leave a little bit of salt, or put some salt on that statement. The idea that closure is going to be a big deal because of this daily uptrend. This could affect how price pisses with this line, how far it scoops below. That closure is going to give you a little bit better indication once this, it could come into play now because price is messing with this line now. Keep that in mind. Whichever daily candle starts going below, just wait for that closure to have a little bit more confirmation. Making sense so far? Because all of this, if we can just look at Bitcoin from, pretty much here on, which is a couple months of price action. Yeah, 50 days of price action. This is very bullish. So look at it this way. Imagine you're looking at a 5-minute chart, right? And Bitcoin just moved down, I don't know, like $200. And 5-minute candles do this, boom, boom, boom. What does this look like? It looks like it's hitting a neckline, using as support and get ready to come up, right? And so that's why this daily perspective is kind of important to keep in mind. So so the first time it goes below here on small candles, that you're not necessarily getting all excited about shorting the market all the way down to this next origin line. All right, and that is essentially keeping things very basic for how to view Bitcoin over the next month and a half, plus where do the probabilities pivot. And right at this point, this is the most thing, like, price up here is not as critical as price here, right? So that's why really just this checkpoint and you're in targets, that's all you really need to be thinking about right now, keeping it extremely simple. Because if there is a fake out, what will happen? Then this line will become critical once again. Making sense? All right. Now let's look at Bitcoin with a perspective of, hey, this just broke out of a massive, macro triangle, 145 days long. This should be just a glorious pump, but is it breaking down, and when do I know that? And so let's dive into that chart. Links to the Discord community are in the description section of all my videos. Follow me on Twitter. If you're not, what the heck are you doing? I'm at Cosasverdes with the number 2 afterward. And if you want to check out what the YouTube tiers are like, then there's a join button right next to the subscribe button, which new viewers, that's when you hit that right now and hit all alerts, the bell for all alerts. There's a join button right next to the subscribe button. You can click it, a 90-second comedic video will pop up, and it'll describe what those are all about. Here we go. This music is really distracting me when I'm saying that shit. I should turn that down. You can leave me a comment. If you want this music off, like totally, and it's just annoying, feel free to let me know. Hopefully it's low enough where it's not too bothersome. All right, so like I said, same chart, same time frames, different perspective. And I'm on the different side of the your screen. That was on accident. Let me get rid of that white line. Here we go. Looking at it this way, even though my white lines aren't on here, if I can just see it from this perspective, I typically, so imagine this is a 5-minute chart, even though this is 150 days of price action. When I'm trading small candles and I'm trying to think, oh man, this is at the point where it could be a nice pullback before it busts out the neckline, or this is where it could break down, right? So this is all happening in the matter of like the next 30 minutes. Big decision making, a lot of activity here, but right now we're on the daily candles. So just imagine that if I were in that situation, the way I try to draw lines in the sand for myself is I look left and I look for wicks, like very important wicks that were a pivot point, or I don't know, they just look important to me, and I have a knack for identifying what they are for some reason. So in this case, when I look left, this one looks pretty damn important, but it's already up this high, and this would still be a very, very bullish posturing for Bitcoin. So that kind of rules that out. That's not important for a breakdown yet, right? It's too high up. So I look farther left, this one right here from June 15th is the one I like. So if I can just forget about my other white lines that I've, had a conspiracy theory map for and decided these are the lines, right? These are the freaking lines in the sand, which they are. I am confident with that. If I could forget about those, this is the way I would view a 5-minute chart. This would be my line in the sand. And what does it happen to align with specifically in regard to the salt that I told you to throw on, or the closures for better guidance? It lines up almost right with it. So that wick could have been responsible for, why this higher low formed here. Does that make sense? So it aligns with the, the probability checkpoint. But if you want this specific line on your chart, if you like viewing it this way, which might be, I don't know, it's an alternative good way to view it. It's a nice round number right there. And you can simply think about it like this. Which origin line will be hit next? And when do I know? Or at any snapshot of time, how confident am I that I know? Or how confident can I be with my guess? And so because it's well above there in a bullish, I mean, fuck, this is honestly a really bullish posturing. Like this is pretty bullish. Very bullish actually. If I review it on a 5-minute chart, I would be definitely looking for longs, especially after it pings off here one more time. But which one will be hit first? And how confident am I with my guess at any checkpoint in time? Right now, it's above this line in a higher low structure on this time frame. This is way more probable at this point. Way more probable. But this is now my line in the sand. I'm going to be interested to see which one will come into play. So I'm going to leave. This is the same chart, but I'm using my my object tree to hide these things. So I'm going to leave them on here, but I will follow up to this video because I'm going to compare the price action and the battle, or the lack thereof, of the bulls and bears on micro time frames, 1 hour chart and below, on my conspiracy theory lines, plus just the simple red line that I had here. I want to see which one in the end ended up being more important. So the third thing that we're going to cover now is a lot of talk about Dixie, a breakdown. I'm not so convinced it is ready to break down. I'm guessing either it will go sideways for a little bit, testing down to the weekly 21, which I'll pull up the chart here in a second, and then go sideways, or just scoop down, then blast back up. I think those two situations are more probable than a breakdown. But I'm going to show you, I guess, the parameters to define those words, breakdown versus sideways, because sideways can look like it's breaking down, right? Just all perspective. So the reason that's important for Bitcoin is if Dixie keeps going down, that's going to get Bitcoin juice to hit this. And you will see it with price compared to those lines. But before that happens, you'll be able to potentially front run that idea with what's happening on Dixie, or use that, what I'm about to show you, as an extra layer of confirmation. So you can actually be more confident at any point in time when price is particularly above the probability pivots. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you, what can I look at to better my odds here that I'm trading the right direction on this time frame? And I'm going to show you that right now. Here we go. I'm not going to point out the obvious. So if you're a Dixie person, actually, if you're not somebody who follows this, you really should. The correlation is extremely strong. Perhaps not on hourly candles like Bitcoin is with SPX, or even 5 and 1 minute candles. I mean, Bitcoin literally prints the same color candles. It's stupid. And it moves the exact same way during FOMC and CPI craziness, right? It's literally the same thing. But understanding, I guess, in a midterm time frame perspective, this does help you get Bitcoin price, I guess, TA better. All right. So a lot of people have mentioned all over the internet that this has a lot of bearish divergence on larger time frames. I think 2 or 3 strikes on the weekly, right? And then it should come all the way down. That is a fair assessment. I think that is one of the most, well, it's one of the top 3, but I'm putting it as number 3, but it is a top 3. And in that case, you would see Dixie go all the way down to this. Actually, for people who haven't seen my full chart, and again, you won't see Dixie chart as pretty and sexy as this on any other YouTube channel. So this is why, if you haven't seen me laid out like this and you watch the Dixie chart, that's when you hit the thumbs up, because this shit is sexy right here. I'm telling you what. Anyway, let's go back down to the 4 hour. Yeah. So on that big drawback, you have a very clear target. This is the point of control of a 12-year range, right? Macro range. All right, I guess that's redundant. 12-year range means macro, regardless of relativity, how old an asset is. But anyway, so if that were to happen, then that would give Bitcoin the juice to go up to the higher origin line, right? It'd break 24, 25, even 26K if it did a failure pattern above. But when do you know? So similar to how I broke the other thought process down. Okay, when do I know that that's the most probable? And it's all about the weekly 21. So let me throw the weekly 21 on. I've drawn over it just so it kind of stays. Maybe I'm drawing. Yeah, here we go. So that's the weekly 21, even though I'm on the 4 hour chart. And right now, I don't think it's the most probable, because when you look back in time on this chart, this is a very important line. And it has the habit of using this line of support, going sideways, then busting up higher, even after a nice hot move, right? So let me show you an example of that. I'm gonna go to the 5-day chart so we can see decades of price, or of movement. Actually, in this case, way back here in 2008, wait, why do I have 2009 over here? There we go. Look at what it did there. It hit the point. It hit the point of control, and then got right just a couple candles closed right back above this line and did a double take. So I guess that would still allow Bitcoin to go to 25K if that were to happen. Looking at this line in other ways, here we go. So here's an example of you're getting into a nice hot rally, multi-year rally. Come back down, base on this twice, and then go higher. So this is a pretty pivot, I mean, really the weekly 21 on any chart's going to be a big ass deal for general macro direction, right? You get your rejection points, and then things start heating up right when it gets above. Makes sense? Failure rejection pattern. So this is a big line, right? The weekly candles really respect it. So now that you've seen that, look at it this way. Now, how do you think that these weekly candles are going to interact with that? Now mix in the idea that, let me go to the 4-hour chart again. I'm almost done setting the context. Sorry. This is like the backstory. All right. But if this is broken, it will also be breaking around that time a macro channel line. So this has similar rules as a major EMA. If you go below there, use it as resistance, I mean, you're going to test down farther. So going below this one, using it as resistance, if support can't be found there, and then it's going to come here pretty fast. So if you see that start to happen, that's when you know you have extra probabilities like in your favor, especially if Bitcoin is above that pivot. Does that make sense? But there's going to be a lot of battle in this, both in this triangle, but the triangle below it as well. Because if the bears can push this below the weekly 21, bulls will defend this line. This is a big line. Other people will be seeing it, even if their chart isn't as nice looking as mine, which it definitely isn't. I'm being honest, but playful and cute at the same time. So both of these, maybe I should make these like different colors, but there's going to be something interesting happening here. And I don't know if you've seen this on other channels, but either this triangle is going to get a shit ton of action or this one is. I don't see it coming straight down. Am I making sense there? This is a huge pivot point, and so is this. This I think this is going to take some time. And this would take you through Christmas right here. If these triangles are the right distance, the right length, this is around Christmas. So that is my case for why I really don't see it going all the way down here. This hitting either triangle and then establishing support of some sort, that honestly, if it doesn't go below here, Bitcoin would still have permission to keep going up as long as the stocks didn't do badly. But this wouldn't add to the, I guess, your probabilities in the event you're just using the Bitcoin chart. So you wouldn't be able to look at this and say, yeah, I have extra chances to the upside. That would be kind of just no effect. But if it goes below here, okay, big effect. And Bitcoin might actually start racing. Making sense so far? Now, what is, so yeah, the weekly 21, go back to where you saw it zoomed out, try to emulate and copy that 12-year long trading channel. And that is what you got for Dixie, and how to, I guess, reconcile the way this moves and how it affects Bitcoin. But if you want to get an even better idea of how this will affect Bitcoin, like it's I guess the antimatter to this matter, check out what I'm about ready to show you. Apple. I know it's weird, but I've been saying this to my community for over about a week now. I'm telling you, what I'm about to say could be like wizard stuff, but I think it's right. Or else I wouldn't be showing you and talking about it like this. All right. So these are origin lines for Apple price. They follow the same rules as Bitcoin's origin line rules that I covered in my last video. And I'm telling you, if you haven't watched that video, just skip straight to that. It's tagged. Watch it on ×2 speed, whatever. Watch it. It could literally change, it could potentially change your life if you're a big crypto geek. Anyway, so these are origin line. It follows the same rules. So look what's happened. What does it look like it's happening? Let's zoom in. How can we tell what's happening, Tim? You gotta zoom in, man. All right. Daily chart. Got rejected from the top one perfectly a couple times. Lower high. Rally, but most of the stock market did a lower high here. So this was like the stock market all-time high back in January. On its descent down, it did use it as support on the daily because the day closed above. Actually perfectly. But then lower high, it lost the line. Worked its way back up. Lower high on the daily. It tried to use it as support once again, just like it did back here. But it formed an even more miniature lower high. Lost it again. So it lost it here and lost it here. Now it's coming up, getting rejected from that line. And then took out this low. So what does that mean? If we understand origin line rules. Am I giving away with this white shape down here? That means, and I've had this shape here for months and months and months, because I think it might have been back here. So that's still months though. Once I saw that loss, I was like, oh, this is going to be hit somewhere over here. This goes till March of 2023. But this line has to be hit, and it's going to be hit with an extremely, extremely high probability. Like, it's not even a question if it's whether or not it's 51% or more likely. This is going to be hit before a rally above this line. Period. Extremely high probability, not period. That's stupid. What does this have to do with Dixie? Well, if Dixie, so this is like your buffer, or I don't know, this is like a chemical reaction buffer to slow down, to raise the threshold of the catalyst, of the chemical reaction, essentially. So this could be your buffer that could make Bitcoin essentially cool its tits. If Dixie goes down to that 105, the more bearish one that I don't think is necessarily going to happen, but any downward direction in here would give Bitcoin more enthusiasm or pep in its step to go up, right? But if you see that mixed with risk-off assets, which Bitcoin follows, continue going down because of monetary, policy that's going on, the stocks risk-off or risk-on assets could go down as Dixie goes down and as Bitcoin goes down or sideways. Bitcoin might hold sideways. Does that make sense? Or no, I'm so sorry. All of them down at the same time. When typically Dixie going down would help this go up and Bitcoin go up. But it's possible the dollar goes down a little bit, not even that bad of a pullback, but 105 would be kind of deep. Even down there, if tech stocks are coming down, you would have two different, forces on Bitcoin. Dixie going down would be an upward force for Bitcoin, but these coming down would be a downward force. And usually if Dixie's down, this would try to go up. But what's happening with monetary policy might drag this down anyway, as Dixie also goes down for external factors of the United States. Make sense? So this is our chemical reaction buffer. Hopefully I'm not losing anybody there. So I would use this in almost like a chain reaction. Bitcoin with your Voodoo conspiracy theory lines for continuation up. Thought process of a breakdown, the triangle with the red line. How to add, and then third, adding Dixie with this is, can I have extra confirmation as I have a probability already? Can I use something else besides the distance from the Voodoo lines or whatever in order to, for more confirmation, that's Dixie plus Apple together. Because Apple price, if they all go down together, then it's going to be all buffered out. The effect will be buffered. Makes sense? Potentially buffered. All right, click this 1 minute video right here if you want to see a clip of what it's like to be in the Discord community. And if you watch it all, at the end, you'll be linked to an unlisted video, and it's a tutorial video. Click this playlist right here if you want to see the most important crypto videos I've ever made. You just got Timothy Worldwide. Peace.